Great, welcome everybody. My name is Jeff Stewart. I'm Technical Account Manager at Lizard Tech, and this is our GeoExpress 953 launch webinar. Last week we launched 953. Many of you probably got an email about it, and this webinar is intended to really kind of go over some of the new features and benefits of GeoExpress and answer any questions that folks might have about it. First off, before we get going, again, my name is Jeff Stewart. I'm the Technical Account Manager here. Many of you have probably received emails from me before in the past. Also with me, I have Janelle Kemp, who's a Technical Support Representative from Lizard Tech. Say hello, Janelle.
Hi everybody. I do see some familiar names in the list here, so yeah, good to see you all here.
Exactly. It's always good to be able to connect with our customer base and to talk and share about some exciting things that are going on at Lizard Tech. So as I get started, I know that this is probably old news for most of you on the call, but in case we have some new users out there, anybody who's interested, what is GeoExpress really? What are we talking about? Well, GeoExpress is a piece of software that we created that compresses massive geospatial data into high quality compressed Mr. SID and JPEG 2000 formats. It also allows you to manipulate that data, to reproject it, to crop it, to edit it, mosaic the data. It's very easy to use. It's got some powerful command line tools, actually, that aid in automation of simple compression tasks, as well as kind of more complex things like reprojection. And it also has tools, a tool that allows you to directly export data right to Express Server 9.5. Express Server being our server product that is optimized for serving out compressed imagery. You might wonder why, why you might want to compress imagery in LiDAR. Well, you get the same detailed, high-quality images that are reduced file size. So then, ergo, you can save on storage costs. You speed up data transfer time. Sometimes it allows you to be able to send massive data files over poor communications with low bandwidth. The nice thing about Mr. SID is that, and GeoExpress as a whole, is that you can compress your files to a very small size without sacrificing your visual quality. And I mean, this is very important in this day and age, as we've had a sort of an explosion of different sensors and different data collection platforms. The size of point clouds and images get bigger and bigger. So GeoExpress is only one of a few different products that we have at Lizard Tech. It's sort of our flagship product, really. It allows us to manipulate and compress imagery, and we have a server product called Express Server that's designed to serve that imagery out very quickly to your GIS client or your GeoViewer Pro. So what's new in GeoExpress? So we're going to talk about some of the new features, and we are going to then go into a demonstration of them. The big thing in GeoExpress, one of the biggest things in this release, is that we've added support for BPF files. BPF files are the raw data type data format that comes out of the Harris Geiger Mode LiDAR sensors. Geiger Mode LiDAR is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly resolute, and the BPF format that comes out of it, however, most geospatial workflows have required the BPF file to be converted to LAS before it can be viewed in other GIS platforms or anything to view that imagery in. The conversion from BPF to LAS actually strips out a lot of the data, and so what we here at LizardTech decided to do was create a BPF to Mr. SID converter that allows you to losslessly compress those BPF files into Mr. SID without any of that additional data field loss. Additionally, you can take those Mr. SIDs that were losslessly compressed from the BPF and then write to BPF back as well. So you can instantly see how you could conceivably convert those BPF to Mr. SID for storage or transport, and then when they get to the destination, they, either down the line, then they can convert those back to BPF if they need to. Something else we've implemented in this release is some advanced color balancing tools. So we've worked really hard to make our color balancing tools a little bit more robust in this release. One of the things that we did is we decided that for automatic corrections, we set the per band correction setting as default when creating a mosaic from a number of different tiles. So before, when you were creating a mosaic from a number of different tiles using automatic corrections, it corrected to intensity, which often didn't have as good color balancing results between all the different tiles. So what we've done is set, and you would have to go in and then select, use per band to get the result you want. So we decided to make it a little bit easier for the user, and we set per band as the default. So now when you go in and you're using your automatic corrections, color balancing, the default view should look a little bit nicer. We've also introduced a RGB color transform setting by default, and I'm actually going to hand this over to Janelle, because she was really key and instrumental in getting this new feature added, and I know she'd like to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So the RGB color transformation is something that we've actually had for a while now. The behavior that we've changed in 953 is that it's selected by default, and it was kind of buried under a tab on the advanced options. So we just made this setting the default so that it will make your images look better. So essentially, the image on the left is the non-transformed, and this is what we did by default. On the right is the transformed imagery. These images are both compressed at 40:1, so they have the exact same compression ratio. They're the exact same output file size. But you can tell the image on the right looks a lot better. And what actually happens when you do the RGB color transformation is the algorithm walks through the different bands in the imagery. It assumes that the first 3 bands are RGB, which makes sense because a lot of cameras nowadays are collecting RGB infrared imagery, so they are considered multispectral even though they just have that one additional band. And it finds out which band needs to be compressed at a different ratio than the others. So for instance, it might say, oh, the red band needs to be compressed at 8:1, whereas the blue band can be compressed at 100:1. And it looks at this, it's something to do with rods and cones in your eyes, and all the smart math guys have figured this out. And essentially what it does is it preferentially compresses the bands more or less depending on how visually good they will look in the output. So instead of compressing every single band at 40:1, it compressed these at different rates so that you get a much better looking output image. And yep, that is set by default for any multispectral image that you've got now. So you could always turn this off if you like, but in most cases, it's going to make your output image look a lot better.
Yeah, it's remarkable how much sharper that right image looks.
Yeah, same compression ratio.
That's fantastic. Well, thanks, Janelle. Moving on, this is another thing that I think Janelle, as a technical support, would probably is near and dear to her heart. But for all you users out there as well who've gone through the fun of licensing GeoExpress, we are moving away from these extremely long license code strings. No more are we going to have to send a locking code and then come back and you're going with this really long license string, and then you have to cut and paste it into the license code field, and there's leading to transcription errors, and just was just a big pain. So we decided to move to something really simple. We're going to send everyone an LIC, a license file, where it says license code. You will import that file into that license code field and hit OK, and voila, you'll be ready to go. So I think everybody, I think I can't hear it, but I'm guessing there's a lot of cheering going on as well on customer sites as well as at the Lizard Tech offices too.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me chiming in real quick, this isn't going to replace any of your existing licenses for everybody that's on the call that's an existing customer. It's just if you need to move it to a new machine or if you buy another license, it's just going to make it a lot easier. It's a tiny 1 kilobyte file. We just send it as an email attachment, and instead of that big long 200-character license code, just import it and you're ready to go. So your existing licensing will still work fine. It's just if you ever need a new one, we'll send you this instead.
There are keyboards all over the world that will not now be thrown against the wall. So, moving on again. So there are another few things that we've added in here. This release is really kind of jam-packed. So one of the other big things that we've implemented is support for NOAA's 2011 NAT83 adjustment. So we now support EPSG codes and transformations for that. I know that was something that, according to technical support, there's been a lot of requests for out there. So there you go. It's now in this release. We've changed our watermark settings. Now you can, before I think you were limited to watermarks of a certain size, but now users can create watermarks of any size. And this next one, number 3, I know has been a big pain internationally, where decimal points are commas instead of actual points, for example. But we fixed a bug where GeoExpress doesn't recognize and support native decimal point notation in the operating systems of the computers in the different countries. So no more issues related to that. And for some of our government users that were using NIDA files larger than 4 gigabytes. I know sometimes in a few instances we were encountering some read errors for those. Well, that has now been fixed. So, this release is really, we've implemented a couple of really nice features in this release, and overall just worked on fixing bugs and just making it just more solid of a platform than it already is. So now I'm going to move into a demo of GeoExpress. I'm going to show everyone, particularly the LiDAR, the Geiger LiDAR support, as well as demonstrate the color balancing autocorrection that Janelle and I spoke to before. So I'm going to move over to GeoExpress. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen now, showing GeoExpress. So over here, what I've done, so I have some LiDAR, and raster files over here. Over here, you can see now where I have this Geiger mosaic. I got a whole bunch of Geiger BPF files brought into GeoExpress, so it's reading them. Now it's creating a preview image out of it. These files are fairly enormous, so it's about 2 gigabytes for this one mosaic. So it's bringing it in. I've actually already compressed it just for the ease of this demonstration. And you can see that it's actually a tree canopy. One of the other things that we've done in this release too, that's worthwhile noting, is we've introduced some additional viewer options for our LiDAR. So right here, we've got custom gradient range, which we've already had, but there's Z exaggeration now. You can play with a number of points that you want to have displayed. For example, if I wanted to do like a million, these Geiger mode sets are extremely large, so I could do that. Also, we have some different options for alpha channel. Geiger mode LiDAR is has a lot of data and can be kind of noisy, as you can see. Just tiling in here. So here, there's a waterway right here and whatnot. But when you turn on signal to noise filter, everything seems to be a lot. Okay, so you can see, you zoom in a little bit here. And so you can see you've got tree canopy, looks like a riverbed. So it allows you to really filter out some of that stuff, that extra noise, and get right to the, the heart of the actual data. But on the other hand, you're keeping the raw data as well. What's more, I compressed this losslessly, so you can see now for our output formats from that Geiger Mosaic SID, I also have BPF. So I can write this back out to BPF, I can write it out to LAS, I can write it out to LAZ. Here's just another example. I can come in and play with the gradient ranges, point size now. So you can really customize your view to how you like it. So I think that's pretty exciting, and I know that there are a lot of users out there who are using Geiger mode that have had to use PDAL to convert the Geiger mode into LAS, and it can be a very long and arduous process, take a lot of time. But with GeoExpress now, it's a snap. So going over to color balance mosaic. So we spoke about earlier that we are now choosing, or we have in our color balance manager for mosaics with our automatic corrections. We, instead of when you match tiles to each other using automatic corrections, or when you match, when you're trying to balance out each of the tiles, default now is each band, where previously it was to intensity. And when you did it to intensity, you necessarily sometimes got outlier tiles. Maybe this tile was I don't know, just shot under poor conditions or whatnot, and it's just not quite as good, not as quite as consistent in its parameters as with to the other tiles. Well, if you apply correction to each band, it now all balances out really well. So that's why we introduced that as the default, because we think it's going to produce a more high quality image. It's another step that the user doesn't have to take, just to overall improve the experience of the user. Now, again, we haven't really taken anything away. All we've done is change to the default. So if you want to go back to intensity, you can. There you go. So that's all I was going to demo at the moment. What I'm going to do now is go back to the PowerPoint. If any of you are interested in trying GeoExpress, we have a trial program. We offer 30-day trials of GeoExpress, fully functioning trials of GeoExpress. The only limitation is that there are small watermarks on the output images. We offer those up to anyone who wants to register. The link is right there. And it's also easily accessed from our webpage. So I highly encourage you, if any of this is interesting to you, to go and give it a try. Okay. Now, sorry about that. I was switching through my screens and forgot to make PowerPoint my lead screen here. So in any case, you heard what I said about the trial program. Highly recommend, if this is interesting to you, to go ahead and sign up for a trial. If you need support with it, we can always reach out to us. We're more than happy to provide support so users have a really good experience in your trial. You can contact technical support, or you can contact a sales rep for that. We just want you to make sure that you get the most out of your trial and you have a chance to really experience the benefits of using GeoExpress. So I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I'm going to look at the chat box here to see if any questions have come in. Before I do so, though, we have a list of contacts here. Again, Terry Ryan is the sales manager. There's his email. I'm the technical account manager, and there's my email as well. And if anyone needs to contact technical support for any technical support issues, please hit up support@lizardtech.com. Or you could always give us a phone call. We always enjoy phone calls as well. So let me go over to the chat window. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions at the moment, but I tell you what, we'll keep it open for a little bit longer in case anybody wants to put in a question. Otherwise, I think we'll just consider that Janelle and I did an absolutely fantastic job.
Hey Jeff, I do see there's a Q&A section. Alan Herbison asked if there was any thought about producing ECW files, such as an output, and I know that's a request that we've had in the past, and I'm not sure about the current status of that. We are going to send out a follow-up email to this webinar to everybody that attended, so let me check into that, and I'll see where we stand on that, and I'll include that in that email that goes out.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Janelle. You know what? We also, I just saw that Q&A field, Janelle. We had a question about browser plugins. I know that we do have the ExpressView browser plugin for Internet Explorer. So any Internet Explorer users still out there, the ExpressView browser plugin allows you to view and kind of do some light manipulation of GeoExpress images inside of your web browser. We do not have at the moment anything for Chrome. I know that kind of browser plugins are kind of the way of the past. They're kind of going away. But it is something that we're looking at having some sort of Chrome plugin for the future, or some sort of browser extension is something that we're looking at, but we haven't really acted upon yet. But until then, if you're using Internet Explorer, even Internet Explorer with Windows 10, you can still use the ExpressView browser plugin to view Mr. SIDS that way. We have another question about, is this an upgrade for Geo 9.5 or is it a completely new install? It is an upgrade to 9.5, but it is something that you do have to download and install on top of 9.5. In the install process, it'll ask if you want to upgrade to 9.5.3, and you'll go through the install process, and it'll just upgrade 9.5.3, but you won't lose anything that you had before, so you don't have to uninstall 9.5 or anything like that to upgrade to 9.5.3. It'll just install on top of it.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, we released a new website a few months ago, so the installer for this upgrade is actually available on our website. You can just go to lizardtech.com into the help section under GeoExpress. You can find the download information and everything that you need for the upgrade. And this upgrade is at no cost for any customers that are on ASA, so you can just go grab it, download it, and you'll be good to go.
We also had a question about pictures from mobile devices, and I'm guessing the question really is, can GeoExpress compress pictures from mobile devices? And it can. We actually have done just recently a blog post about using GeoExpress to compress mobile device pictures into Mr. SID. It's available on the LizardTech blog. It's very interesting. Mr. GeoExpress does a very good job compressing high resolution kind of mobile device photos, even just lower resolution, frankly, mobile device photos into Mr. SID. Saves on space, saves on data transfer, speed, time, and whatnot. If you're interested, yeah, have a look at the LizardTech blog. It's one of the newer blogs listed there. So back to the question about is there any thought about producing ECW tiles? We do accept ECW tiles as inputs, but we don't output ECW tiles due to current licensing with ERDAS. One thing, as far as mobile devices go, and again, something that to tag along to the idea of compressing mobile device photos, we don't as yet have a version of GeoExpress that runs on a mobile device. But you can take those mobile device photos, take them off the device, compress them in GeoExpress, and either put them back onto the device or store them somewhere else.
I do see a question from Bill Fox about using virtual desktops under VMware. Absolutely, this is compliant for that. We actually use VMware and vSphere for a lot of our own QA testing here, and we have a number of users that actually use this in virtual environments. So yeah, you can use that for sure.
And we have a question about, has the crop feature center width and height been restored in this version? Janelle, would you care to field that one? I'm not.
Yeah, Dale, I'm sorry, but the answer is no, not in this version. The only modifications that we made to cropping was related to shapefile cropping. We just improved the shapefile cropping a little bit for this version. So I know that you asked for that a little while back, and it is still in there. It is still on our radar, but it hasn't made its way into this particular version. So I do apologize for that.
And we do have, last but not least, we have a question from Bill Patrick about, we have 1 terabyte of LAS data. Can that go into Express Server? And I believe the answer is yes.
Server 9.5. Yeah, we do
Yeah.
Mr. Sid Generation 4, LAS, and LAS. You can serve all three of
Yeah.
those.
So that's not a problem at all. The nice thing about Express servers that that last data you could then actually serve out. If you're using ExpressZip, you can distribute that and serve it out to your users also as Mr. Sid or LAZ. But that's technically another webinar. But be more than happy to possibly do a YouTube or a webinar on using ExpressZip to distribute data to your users like that. Well, we are coming up against this webinar is supposed to be scheduled for 30 minutes. We're sort of coming up against time. So we'll take a couple more questions here. But any of the questions that we don't get to, they'll all be recorded, and we'll make sure that we answer them accordingly. And also, this webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website in a couple of days after it gets compressed and optimized for the web. But if you sent through questions, don't worry, we'll get and we haven't answered them. Don't worry, we'll get to them all in due time. So let's see here. We have a question about licensing. When the product is purchased, is it a per seat license or global? How much is the initial cost of the program? So GeoExpress, there are a couple of different licensing models. There's a standalone license, and that's basically exactly what it sounds like when you get to license it on one machine. There's one seat, basically. Obviously, anybody who has access to that seat can use that license of GeoExpress, but it's licensed for one computer only. Now, we do have a floating license capability that you can install GeoExpress on multiple machines and use a license server to check out the license. So you could kind of distribute usage of that license across an organization. But still, if you are going to plan on having more than one concurrent user of GeoExpress, you would need more than one floating license. As far as how much is the initial cost of the program, which is a follow-on question to that, I would just direct you to one of the sales folks here on the question slide, and they can definitely help you out. There's a lot of different, the pricing models are kind of different, and it kind of depends on whether you're government or commercial and whatnot. But please contact either Terry Ryan or myself, and we'll get answer your sales costs related questions in a separate communication. And last question. When we do the transform function, is that something that needs to be done on the native files, or will it also work on an old SID file? I'm sort of assuming when you talk about the transform, is the RGB color transform. And is that something that needs to be done on the native files or work on an old SID file? I believe, Janelle, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it will also work on other Mr. SID Generation 4 files as well, correct?
Yeah, it will work on older SID files. I'm not positive about Mr. SID Generation 2. That might be a little bit long in the tooth, but definitely it'll work on MG4 files. Anything that's multispectral, you can do this on.
Right. Thanks. And it is there that we will cut this off. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn about GeoExpress 953. Fantastic questions. Any of them, again, any questions that we haven't gotten to, we will definitely connect with the user to answer those questions. And we just overall thank you for your time. We're really excited about this release, and we hope that you upgrade if you're already a GeoExpress user, or you take time to download a trial. So Again, everyone, thank you, Janelle, for joining me on this. Thanks to everyone who joined, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.